Some would say the blade itself moves as slowly as Glotka moving up or down a staircase. I don't necessarily agree, though. Let's talk about it. Many of you have heard me comment that I have been away from reading regularly for a really long time. Yeah, I got busy and stuff, but that's just an excuse. I could have made time. 2023 is the year that I changed that. I'm making time to read books, and I'm very happy about that. One of the things that I noticed is while I was away, several phenomenal series popped up. They're really well reviewed, and one of those is the First Law series. And so I decided that I've been missing out, and it was time for me to read The Blade itself. And man, am I happy I did. This is the exact book for me. Now, most of the reviews talk about how phenomenal the book is, but it does have some detractors, and I understand why that is. Let's talk about all the stuff that makes this book really, really good, but maybe something that you may want to steer away from. If you've watched any review on The Blade itself, you have heard the phrase, it's a character-driven story, and that is true. But what does that exactly mean? All the reviews kind of center around the same thing. No one really quite knows how to describe the plot, and no one wants to give anything away in describing the plot, and so everyone tiptoes around a bunch of stuff and just tells you that the characters are phenomenal. All of that is true. This book does a fantastic job of giving you very in-depth characters and very complex situations, and it's very nuanced. That is one of the things that I absolutely adore about it. Reading what seemed like maybe several pages of one character describe how painful it is for him to walk down a flight of stairs may seem boring, and if you're into an action book, you may be right. But for me, it told me everything. Sandan Glotka is an inquisitor for some kind of empire, and he has fought many battles in his past and was once the dashing hero of his people. But now he's maimed and it's difficult for him to walk, let alone go up and down stairs. Hearing him describe exactly how painful it was for him kind of set the scene for everything. And these are the kind of things that I find fascinating. And so, for me, that trip down a flight of stairs was phenomenal. For you, it may be boring to hear some guy complain about his war injuries that cause him a lot of pain going up and down stairs. You wouldn't be wrong, I guess, if that's your opinion. I would disagree with you wholeheartedly, though. Now, this book isn't just filled with one guy complaining. This book is an in-depth study of several different characters. There's also Jezal Dan Luthar. He's kind of the current dashing hero of the same empire that Glotka used to be the dashing hero for. Luthar isn't quite the same dashing hero that Glotka was in his day. Luthar is into chasing women, drinking a lot, and playing cards. He's tasked with he's facing this impending duel with a very formidable opponent, but he's not very interested in winning. He's more interested in his appearance. He falls in love with a commoner or someone who's from the north, and that will change everything for him. And watching that progression is, again, really, really phenomenal. Is there a lot of action? Not necessarily. There's not zero action. But we get to see his journey, and we get to see him deliver on some of the promises that we see in this book. In addition to him is one of a lot of people's favorites, Logan Ninefingers, and he is a Northman who is as tough as they come. He is battle-tested through and through with scars all over his body to prove it. He's maybe a bit of a reformed berserker. I don't know how else to describe him. He is someone who would formerly have thought to fight first and ask questions later. Now he's rethinking all of that. These three characters make up the majority of the points of view in the story, although there's some others that are really, really good. But aside from them, there's also a host of secondary characters that are just as phenomenal. I don't know. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but if you get to the part where Three Trees and some of those guys are arguing about what they do next, that may be one of the best chapters of a book I've ever read. It's not that long, and it may seem pointless, but it really speaks to these characters and what they're up against. I don't want to ruin it for you, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but you'll know what I'm talking about when you get there. It ends in a little bit of a silly fashion. I'll say that. Now, this book is difficult to describe the plot of. Essentially, there is an empire who is facing battle on many fronts, and there is a host of Northmen who are kind of, I would say, Viking-like, and they are amassing in the north to take back some of their territory. And that is the backdrop for this, although there's a lot of political intrigue within this empire itself. There's a lot of backstabbing and deceit and all kinds of stuff. This political intrigue is right up my alley. If you want a book that really looks at single decisions that can throw off an entire empire, this is the one for you. This book looks at several things: how people act in their own best interest, how people will sabotage entire industries to get what they want. This looks at people's pursuit of power and all of those things that we see kind of in our modern day political system, but it's even more brutal. So Glotka is an inquisitor, and he is essentially a torturer, and he is not above torturing someone to force them to confess to something that he knows they didn't do. But the reasons why he's willing to do that are more interesting than just a power grab or just to be evil. And so for me, he becomes this kind of likable character. If Logan Ninefingers isn't your favorite character, then Glotka probably is. Glotka is probably, to be honest, he's probably the most well-liked character in the book, and he's also not the nicest. And I don't know what that says about readers. I liked Glotka, every bit as much as I like Logan Ninefingers. I'm interested to see who your favorite character was in the book. If you have read this or if you have started to read this, put it in the comments below. Let me know who was your favorite character and why. I would love to know. Just a kind of small straw poll there. Now, I don't want to steer you wrong. I don't want to make it sound like there's no action in this book. There is plenty of action. There are several fights, there are skirmishes, there are duels. We don't have a big war battle as we may see in some other books that you may like. We do have lots of fighting, lots of strategic maneuvers within that fighting, and some that aren't very strategic. They're just brutal. And so there is action in this book. I don't want to paint it as this boring political drama. It's not that. It's a phenomenal political drama, in my opinion. But there is action along the way, and that action is perfect. It moves the plot along, and it's not overdone. If you're looking for something very specific in the battle or some specific maneuvers, or you want, I know if you watch my review of the first book in the Mistborn trilogy, I was a little bit critical of exactly how detailed those fight sequences were. That's not really my thing. This is a little bit opposite. It's the fight sequences are detailed, but they're not so detailed. It's not like the one guy used his left arm and swung his sword at the other guy's right ear. It's not that detailed, but it is more detailed than just like they fought, this guy won, the end. So again, right up my alley, perfect for me. If you're looking for very detailed battle and you want it all laid out for you, maybe not as exciting for you, but still really, really good. I think you won't be disappointed. I want to tell you about one of my other favorite scenes in the book. There is another character who doesn't get talked about very much in a lot of the reviews I see. His name is Baez. He is a wizard. There are several scenes with him in it that I really love the way they played out. Really, really nice, really fun character, really great scenes with him in it. I liked him. But there is one in particular where his credibility is being challenged by someone with a lot of political power. The way that scene ends is so perfect, and I almost wish it would have gotten the fallout of that would have been detailed a little more in the book. I am hopeful that in the second book in this trilogy we'll get a little more detail on that, but it ends so well with such a good sense of justice that I just had to mention it. If you get to that part of the book, let me know what your thoughts are on it. If you know what I'm talking about, leave your comments below. In fact, leave me your comments below on what is your favorite scene in the book. What was your favorite part of the book? And I'm looking for something specific here. Don't tell me like, oh, I loved so-and-so's story arc. No, no, no. Give me like a chapter or a very specific scene. Tell me what it was. Tell me what you liked. Tell me why you liked it. I would love to hear all of that. So overall, this book is easily a 5 out of 5 stars for me. It is chock full of phenomenal characters. It is chock full of great political intrigue with people making difficult decisions because of political pressure and social pressures and all kinds of things like that. The battle scenes for me are perfect because they're not so detailed that I get lost and stuck in that weeds of just, I don't know, it turns into a word salad for me. Maybe because my short attention span, I can't keep up with it all. The fight scenes in this book were perfect. They were not too detailed, but they were detailed enough that I understood all the action that was going on. I can't recommend this book enough. The one caveat about it is it is dark. I mean, this is kind of, I think the Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire gets credit for being the original grimdark. This is the one that kind of put grimdark to the forefront of fantasy in many ways. So if you don't like those dark stories, if you want all the endings to be happy or at least not terribly sad, this is not the one for you. There is some disturbing stuff going on in there, some pretty gruesome things. And so if that is not your cup of tea, stay away from this book. Otherwise, go out today, get this book, get it at the library, get it on Amazon, whatever you need to do. Get this book and read it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So there it is. That's my take on The Blade itself. And I am super happy that there were several other booktubers that had recommended this so strongly. Otherwise, I may have overlooked it. I feel like this has come out of nowhere. The Joe Abercrombie books have come out of nowhere, but that's really because I've been away from reading for so long that this has probably been, it's probably been a thing for quite a while, and I'm just catching on to it. So I'm late to the party, but I'm happy to be here. It is such a good book. Please go pick it up. So if you found anything in this video even a tiny bit helpful or mildly entertaining, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. I do book reviews every week, and so you can tune in regularly and see what I've been reading and what my thoughts are on that. As in any of my videos, please, if you have thoughts on these books or anything, please put your comments in the comments below. I'd love to start a conversation with you and get your take on why I'm either right or wrong or somewhere in the middle on any of these things. You can also follow me on Goodreads, where you can see what I'm currently reading and what I'll be reviewing soon on this channel. Until next time, I will see you in the next video.